Righto folks, here we are, time to start working on Deathproof. Let's get these repairs sorted and underway. I'm about to stitch up Andrew to help me out, and look, I think we'll start with stripping out the doors and the interior, and then work with ripping out the rest of the bodywork, and then we'll see what we can do with the back end. So let's get started, shall we? We'll have to put a bit of heat on a couple of these. Let's get a bit of heat on it.
This isn't in a good omen, mate.
Shut up, idiot. If we're having a look at the Plymouth hinge that we've got here, you can see that there's a pin that starts from the top and goes all the way down, and as I open the door, the pin's staying put, which means that in terms of heat, I need to do it on the bottom and the top of the hinge, and then I should be able to start knocking it out. I don't have to worry about the middle because it's currently turning within that pin anyhow. Alright, let's see if we get a bit of love out of this. Keep setting fire to the rubber. Oh well, she'll be right. There we go.
Here we go.
Alright, so we'll leave that in there, then we'll start doing the bottom one once they're both free, and we'll pop him out.
Wait. Going to stop there.
Yeah. Well, we might put a bit of lubricant on that for the moment and let it sit as well before heating it again. We'll give that a bit of time to soak and we'll heat him up again. Righto, so while we let the front lower hinge soak on the driver's side, we've got to deal with the rear hinges, and I've actually had a closer look at it and we've got a few issues. Let's take a quick peek. As you can see from what I've just shown you, we don't actually have a pin head there at all that we can knock in or out. It's actually been cut flush. What I suspect has happened is that at some point, probably 50 odd years ago, a cheap repair would have been to literally just drill through it and put a roll pin in it, which looks like is what's happened there. So what we're going to do is put the correct pins in there, because I do like the idea that by having all of these pins coming in and out freely, we can pop the door off at any time if we want to do some repairs in future. So what we're probably going to have to do is actually create a cut, so I'll show you again.
And I need to see the hinge movement there.
You can see a lot of play there. I'm going to do a cut along there, a cut along there, and possibly a cut along this part of the hinge, and as a result I'll be able to get a screwdriver in there and twist it. By twisting it, I'll be able to open up the hinge a little bit, enough to actually knock out the old pin. Then I can re-weld it together and put a new pin in there. So I think we'll get that done whilst we're waiting for the other one to soak. If that other one after soaking doesn't work, we're going to do exactly what we just described there as well. Now, as much as we all love a flame, we have actually decided to plug that leaking fuel tank with some wet rag. Sorry to disappoint.
Yeah, we don't want any more of our sleazies. So you can see what we are trying to achieve. Split that hinge open pretty much.
So we'll attempt to split this open now. That's starting to move. That one's starting to move. Don't know about the bulk on the middle one.
Can't really get it moving.
Yeah, that's starting to move. So in theory, that hinge should start to knock out now. So let's see how we go with that. Well,
yeah, doesn't look like we're having much luck.
This is interesting. Well, we don't know what's been done. We don't know if it still retains the full original pin or if they've actually been split somehow. And maybe we actually need to move this hinge and line it up a little bit better. Excellent. Alright, so we've gone a little bit of a different path. If we have a look, we started to get this top part out.
Can't really see what I mean, but look at the pin coming out the top there. There we go.
Alright, going to try the same on the bottom now.
There we go.
Alright.
Beautiful. There's the top hinge done.
Alright, so that pin's out. We've got to do the same for the bottom now. It's starting to open a little bit. So you can see as I open it that there's a bit of a larger gap around the pin. And the same thing's happening down the bottom. Let's get that out.
I don't you love that noise?
I do.
When it goes from solid to dunk, 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 dunk.
As easy as that.
Oh, 5 fucking minutes, mate, and done.
Well, at least in future, it will literally take a matter of 30 seconds per door to remove. We'll just knock the pin straight out. Alright, so back onto the bottom hinge of the front door. I think we're going to have to admit defeat. We're going to have to do another grinder cut.
Oh, look at that. We knew that was going to happen.
Alright, here's the other door. Easy as that. Let's get the left side done, eh?
Look at that check strap. No check strap on that.
So we just get these seats and belts out so we can get some clear access to the rear shocks and repairing the rear panel work.
How long are these bolts, Michael?
Pretty fucking long, mate.
What? That's out, that's out, that's out. Alright, we've got to get it up and past the brake, that cable lines there. I think we might have to take this fire extinguisher out, brother.
Yep.
And maybe this one too. So you pull that
There
way.
we go.
There we go. There we go. Straight out your way.
Beautiful.
What a pigsty.
That's it. That's it. That's a tight fit.
Yeah, no, we're jammed on the cage.
Oh, hang on. We've got to unhook this belt.
I thought I did.
Yep.
Beautiful.
There we go. Let's clear this filth out the cabin. Alright, all seats, all contents out, all belts are out. All belts are in the same position as the seats are, so we can put them back in the same spot. If we actually look at the cabin, you can see the brackets for Andrew's seat sits further back, so we want to make sure we put the same belts on the same side. But let's grab this shop vac, Andrew, and let's clear this crap out.
I've been begging for it for a year now.
Your wish has
finally
finally
get to
come
do it.
true. Still got bits of bush left with us from our accident. And that's looking a hell of a lot better now. At least that's a cabin we can work in. Alright, I think we may as well get some of this bodywork off. We'll start with the front bumper bar, we'll do the driver's fender, the driver's running board and the driver's rear quarter fender as well.
You're the boss.
Oh, say it again, you're turning me on.
You're the boss.
Alright, so after a bit of discussion with Andrew, we decided we're actually going to cut these bolts off. There's a nylock nut on the inside and there's a bolt on the outside here. Because this is all folded over, we've got no access to the inside, so we're just going to cut the lot off, and from here on out, whilst it's not ideal for appearance purposes, I'm going to weld a bolt on the inside of the chassis sticking out, because this bloody thing keeps working its way loose, and it will be so much easier to just tighten it up with a nut on the outside. So look, we'll just take the outer bar off first, then we're going to cut this off. Side of the bracket's actually snapped clean off, so I better undo this one first.
And there we go. Just like that.
That's one way of getting it. It was quick release,
Quick
mate.
release, mate, yeah. That's for when we're in the pits and need to get out real quick. Done.
As part of removing the fender, we've got to remove all these nuts and bolts that go on the front. We need to remove the mounting bolts or nuts for the headlight bracket and disconnect the wiring. We need to run all the way along the chassis rail here to undo these, and we've got some smaller ones running across here, so alright, so we'll unplug these lights. Alright, so we've got 9 of these nut and bolt combos holding the fender in. This part's broken off pretty badly, but I'm also going to struggle to get access there, so I'll try and pull this out a bit. At the moment.
Do that to a new car, you'd rip the panel in half.
So we should have some access to this one now. We might have to do that just with spanners, but we'll use the impact driver to get most of these off. Oh, we got to undo the bracket that holds
the steering arm. Seconds on each arm.
There we go.
Beautiful. Open wheeler.
So next step's the running boards. We've got to do all of these 3/8 bolts. They're all self-cutters. Then we need to undo these along here. We've got 3 rows of these brackets, and then these 7/16 nuts and bolts. We'll pop that out, then we can start dealing with the actual bent brackets here. But we'll also continue by removing the rear fender. Alright, so that's separated nicely. So we got 1, 2, 3 to undo. Obviously 2 of these are ripped off, but we're going to undo it anyway because we need to rejoin this to the fender, or we may make a new piece, we'll see. But once these are off, running boards are off. Alright, so I'll try to peel this out. Maybe I can pull this down a bit further. A little bit rough and dodgy for the moment, but may get us over the line.
Yeah.
There we go. Ah, that's it. Beauty. Alright, so now we can get some heat and all the rest of it on here and sort that out. Oh, look, a little bit more of the
You take over
branches.
And show and
Alright, so with that out, we can now access these individually and heat them up and bend them back down into place. We may have to put this in the bead roller just to get it straighter, but we may even, yeah, I think we'll probably unpick all of these, get all these brackets off and straighten them up like it should be, and then re-roll them back together. Sweet! On to the rear quarter. So as we run through, we can see the fender is attached with a bunch of nuts. So I'm going to hold these from above, and Andrew can work from the bottom and use the impact driver to get all of these off, or I can do that regardless. But it's definitely a two-man operation.
Yep.
Alright, well, we've got the driver's side bodywork off. I think the next step is to remove this fuel tank. That way we know we can do any grinding and welding without fear of sparks. Let's get him out. While we're fooling around in the back here, we can release these canisters for the Murray Coots shocks. So they'll feed out through the floor when we remove them. So we're going to have to remove the fuel filler neck when we remove the tank. We'll sort that out now. To disconnect the fuel sender. So we disconnect fuel sender, disconnect fuel line, and undo the two straps which we've got over there, and then the whole lot will come out. Closer inspection reveals that the tube for the fuel tank is also broken. Don't know if you can really pick up on it. You can observe that movement. That shouldn't be there.
Seems to be hanging up on this back right corner. It's about to kick off that fucking bit of metal too. Oh, look out.
Oh, she's out.
Fuck, there's still a bit in there.
Yeah, surprisingly. But the fuel pickup's damaged, so I think that's why we were running low on fuel too.
But thank fuck there was, so we could drive on the trailer.
That's it. One fuel tank. We'll just get him off to the side on an angle and make sure we're well away from any flames before we weld it back together. Right, so next step we're going to pop these shocks out. We've got to send them off to Murray as soon as we can. It is the Christmas break that we're working through, but we may as well get them to him as early as we can. And this pretty much highlights the reason why we needed to change it. If you see there, you can see the rubber is just crapping out. You know, this was something that Murray warned me would probably happen, but at the time when I first designed it, I was using the standard XABC Falcon top mount. So moving forward, we're obviously going to use a better joint so we don't have to deal with this in future
and
either.
For people that haven't seen the videos, what are you changing it to, Martin?
Well, we're changing it to a rose joint style, so when I actually take the shock absorber off, we'll actually show you what they look like.
Well, I can show you the front ones.
Yes, actually, that would be perfect. So, yeah, let's have a look at the front.
This is what we're changing it to. Rather than a stud that comes up with a bush, they call that a rose joint. It can pivot and twist and a lot better. I've just got the spacer in there, so that there is sort of like a, I don't know how you'd explain it, but a pivot bearing in there so that it can sort of twist a little bit. We have had issues, as Mike said before, with breaking that rubber, and trust me, with it all you can hear when you're driving along is just bang, 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 bang. It's horrible.
It is horrible. I mean, look, when you're in a rally car, you're always hearing a lot of gravel noise and all the rest of it, but when you actually hear this noise, you really think the car's going to fall apart. And look, the reality is, I've had this happen where both sides have gone on the rubbers, and it does have a really dramatic effect on the handling. So the fact that losing these tiny little rubbers has quite an effect on a rally circuit, by having the rose joint is going to be even better again. So because these do have a little bit of flex in them, and we're going to eliminate that now.
So just to show you again, you see the stud there, and then there's a rubber underneath.
And it's this stud here that has actually broken off on the other shock. It just pulled all the way through, and you can see we've got a split here, which we pretty much just discovered now as well. So
and that's because of all the free play, that when the rubbers wear out, it
creates a lot of so obviously the accident has caused this, but moving forward we're going to have a better system. So now we just got to feed this in from the top, feed it out.
Just like that.
There we go, and we'll feed the rest of that. And if you have a look here, you can see where that's just completely sheared out. So that's a hell of a knock to do that.
Yeah.
Some pretty thick steel.
It is, isn't it? You can't really see it from the video, but
look, that said, with any luck, this may not be a particularly expensive repair.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Murray might look at it and go, that's fine, mate.
That's it. These are ready to send off. Well, we've got a little bit of the dismantling done, but we're actually running out of time. It is Christmas time. We do have our own other commitments, so we can't really dedicate as much as usual to doing our dumb shit and fixing our stupidity. But I think before we go, we need to do at least one part of fixing it, Andrew. I think we need to get these rear spring shackles in, so at the very least, we can have these springs lining up like they're supposed to. Come on, mate, let's do it. Got our 4 new replacements to go in. It's actually stamped weld here, which is a little bracket, so I'll bend it back into place. Once it's bent back into shape, I'll re-weld it.
If you get a jack and press that up, you're going to alleviate so much of your problem.
There we go. We got it.
Or do it the hard way.
This is Shelby Right Garage.
Yeah.
So, with a bit of pressure with the tyre lever and a bit of bottle jack, starting to close that gap. That's closing up nicely. Unfortunately, I have to put the camera down in order to finish this off, but we will weld this and then do the same to the other side real quick.
No, I'm on. You tell me when it's enough.
Righto, we let him cool down. Put him back together. Let's get the other side. Well, I'd say that's the repair done. Beauty. Righto folks, that's it for part 1. We've at least managed to get some repairs happening. We've obviously stripped quite a bit off. join us for part 2. I expect in part 2 we can probably get most of the back end done, except for perhaps the MCA Gold shocks. So we'll probably get the fuel tank in, we'll start doing the body work, we'll have the U-bolts in, we'll get the rear chassis rail repairs completed so we can get the Watts linkage mounts back in. But look, we're getting there, we're on our way. See you on the next one.
Did pretty well for a day.
Not too bad. Cheers.
Cheers, boys. So there's the first thing we've tried that hasn't worked. See, Dad? Orange juice. Hang on. Do I get any PPE or is it all just about you?
Fuck off.
Okay. Continue.
So Andrew, I'm going to need your assistance to prop the door up and then we'll start doing the same
I have
again.
an idea. We could go to Bunnings and get like some gate hinges and screw them across here and here, and we have hinges.
I think you can go and get fucked.
Hopefully we got that. Once again, the cameraman gets no PPE at all, so just go look after the star. But
Fuck
anyway.
off, idiot. Listen, you can't stop mumbling in the background. That fucking ruins the cut.
I'm looking at the screen.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll see it. I can zoom in.
I'm trying not to look like an uncle. Fuck me.
But you always look like a fuckwit. You're my fuckwit, though, so it's alright.
Wow.
I know.
Does the missus know that?
Yeah. Yeah, she knows you're a fuckwit.
Fucking even I'll pay that. Funny how I get to do all the hard work when he holds the camera and he holds the camera. When it's easy, I hold the camera.
It makes for a nice fucking change.
You know what? I reckon we could regrow that. I might put one in a vase for you, just so you can always remember me.
I'm trying to forget you.
And you'll notice, if we pan around the garage, when all the cleaning and shit work has to be done, no sign of Michael. Funny about that. His channel, his car. And guess who's stuck doing all the work as usual. I think it might actually be the first time my parents have actually seen me vacuum. I told you, Mum and Dad, I do it.
Of course, this means he'll probably never do it again. Famous last
You're the
words.
one swinging the spanners, mate.
Fuck off.
Nothing happens quick when you swing spanners.
Shut.
There it is. Hey mate, you know how your channel's doing pretty well now? You've got 1,300
Yeah.
subscribers.
What's your point?
Is there any chance the budget could stretch to your cameraman getting some PPE so I don't get set on fire?
Probably not.
And,
It must be half, but it's got too much to it. Can't get it on. Or have I got the wrong song? I got the wrong pictures. Can you hold that? Oh, pull it out.
I hope you know.
Fuck off. That's the wrong size. Okay.
You're good at that.
Shut up.